5 years ago, my family was on a downward spiral. My kids were miserable, our relationships were strained, and I found it impossible to just slow down and connect. Today, my kids are thriving. My relationships are rich, and not only can I slow down, I genuinely love how I spend my time. Today, I'm going to share the 3 most important things I learned about creating amazing outcomes for yourself and your kids. And it's deceptively simple. Love your life, understand psychological well-being, and master your mind. Let's dive in. I'm sure you've already heard that kids learn more from watching you than anything you will ever tell them or try to teach them. Kids learn experientially through all of their senses, absorbing every aspect of their environment. At every stage of development, kids are learning how to do life by watching everyone around them, especially you. In fact, in the earliest years of life, your child cannot distinguish between themselves and you. So if you want your child to feel empowered, confident, happy, and free, the most effective way to do that is to feel that way yourself. So when a parent is unhappy or sacrificing their own well-being out of duty or fear, children learn those patterns automatically, and they feel it, even when we put on our game face. What's worse, parents can end up pushing their own children, sometimes without even realizing it, to make choices that are truer to the parent's desires than to the child's, which is the exact opposite of empowering. So, what does it mean to love your life? Well, as a quick check, ask yourself, do you regularly choose your own needs and preferences over those of others? Do you pursue your dreams and desires? Do you have fun with your partner and your kids? Do you love how you spend your time? If you struggle to answer yes to any or all of these questions, you are not alone. In future videos, I'll talk more about how to turn that all around. Number 2. Over the past 50 years, thousands of researchers have been studying the psychological well-being, motivation, and outcomes of countless people across cultures, religions, age groups, and contexts ranging from academics, work performance, athletic performance, and long-term relationships, always with the same consistent results. The study is called self-determination theory, and what it comes down to is the ability to make your own choices and control your own life. And it's broken down into 3 fundamental needs: connection, autonomy, and mastery. Now, what's important to understand is that all 3 of these needs are essential. And when we have to sacrifice one need to get the other met, it tends to create poor outcomes, such as anxiety and depression. Unfortunately, many parenting norms and social norms actively undermine many of these needs, and children are frequently forced to sacrifice one to get the other need met. I have other videos that go deeper on all of these, but for today, I'll talk a bit about each of these. Connection. In short, we need people. We need to love. We need to feel loved. When we get this adequately as children, it becomes a part of us, and the self-connection can sustain us through the ups and downs of relationship dynamics. But if we don't get this securely as children, it can affect us for the rest of our lives. And in seeking that connection, we may end up sacrificing what's good for us, or we may even have an outsized fear of loss in our relationships, leading to reactive or even destructive behaviors. Autonomy. Autonomy is the experience of being the cause of the outcomes in our lives versus being at the effect of others. It means we are the author of our own story. And this is the one that I see parents struggle with the most, and it's because it's the most undermined need in our current culture. Autonomy gives us agency, it gives us independence, it gives us freedom. And what it looks like in action changes at different stages of development. For example, in a toddler, autonomy looks like not sharing your toys. It means going for the biggest cookie. As parents, We need to understand what autonomy means and how to parent differently than our own parents or even our peers might expect us to. Mastery. This is the experience of getting better and better at something, as well as being really good at something that we worked hard to learn. While sometimes this process can be uncomfortable, every time we rescue our kids from something painful or save them from struggle, we're sending them a message that they're not capable, and we're robbing them of the opportunity to build mastery in themselves. This is also the reason that we tend to be happier when we're learning something new or we're making progress toward a goal. Master your mind. So why is it that we know something's bad for us, but we do it anyway? Why is it that we know what a good habit looks like, but we still don't practice it? From sugar to exercise to addiction to money, what we know and what we do are not the same. The answer is not to meditate harder, breathe deeper, or talk about your problems more. These are all practices of awareness and consciousness, which are very good and have their place. But when we talk about emotions, reactions, and the majority of our behaviors, we need to understand the unconscious mind. In fact, it's estimated that only 5 to 20% of what we do is actually conscious. This means that upwards of 95% of everything we do is driven by the unconscious mind. So, while the job of the conscious mind is to analyze, evaluate, and choose, the job of the unconscious mind is to go and get it. That's why we say the conscious mind is the goal setter and the unconscious mind is the goal getter. As a parent, you should also be aware that a child's conscious mind is largely non-existent until around the age of 7. That means that everything your children see, hear, feel, experience goes straight into their unconscious minds unfiltered. This is the time that you learn how to do the emotional and behavioral patterns the adults around you are doing. It doesn't mean that you do them all now, but you do know how to do them. What this means is that your child is learning from their environment. They're learning how to do life. And the more confidence, joy, and love that you bring, the more they learn how to do that. In other words, investing in your own well-being and creating a positive vibe in your home is probably the greatest gift you could possibly give your child. Over the coming weeks, I'll dive deeper into many of these topics. Subscribe below and sign up for our newsletter to get next week's drop in your inbox.